really fun. Like I said, it gives me a different perspective on things. I come from a large company. I talk to a lot of academics, but what I don't get the insight into is what is the startup world doing? What are they thinking about? What are the new applications? What is funding like? What is everything? What is it like from their perspective? And this gives me like kind of great insight into that. If you're interested in computer vision and the startup world, then I definitely come to LDV.
A mixture of kind of tech and business is phenomenal to get all of these people in the same room together. So I've met a lot of really interesting folks.
I think the summit's great. It's rare to have a whole group of people focused on one topic that they're also passionate about, like computer vision.
Once VR and AR achieves its sort of like level comparable with reality, becomes incredibly interesting. To your point though, I do think it's pretty far out. Like I wouldn't bet on it going mainstream in the next like 3 to 5 years. I mean 3 to 5 would be probably most bullish that I would get.
Liza, how closely are you paying attention to these trends?
Personally, I would love it because it seems like it would replace a husband for anything that you really needed done. So if you could just
Totally
sort of,
true, right?
I mean, as a person, on a personal level, I would love it. But we haven't really seen anything at the expansion stage in the B2B side. These all sound really early. Some of the things that you were mentioning, Howard, would be very interesting to us because they're applications that are used, in the non-consumer in the B2B space. But it does sound a little far off. But I would certainly be a user of it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the LDV Summit is one of the very few places in the world where people who are working on all different aspects of computational imaging can come together and talk about what's new, what's next, and what some of the big challenges are that we're all working towards trying to solve.
I think it's really interesting to have this diverse group of researchers and startups and investors represented, and it's cool to hear about sort of the new ideas that are coming up.
We're at a point now where the technology is there to create the capture systems to be able to at least start to make seamless 360 3D video. And that's just the starting point. Now that that's there, we need to get that technology into the hands of people who will create the content and start to figure out what works, what doesn't, how can we actually make compelling content in this new medium.
So far, it's been really exciting, showing where both vision's going and where AI is going over the next 20 plus years, and it's something I hadn't thought about as much, and this has sort of inspired me to think about some new areas.
We give you very specific performance insights to help you understand the why behind image performance and help you better understand who your audience is and how different parts of your audience respond to different visual content.
I love the eclectic nature of the conference, the fact that there are people here from the VC world, they're photographers, they're engineers, scientists.
So the primary thing that makes a building smart is that it has sensors and it has a way of reacting to what's going on in the environment. So using, for instance, where the people are in the building to control at a very fine degree how much energy is used by the lighting and also how much light is coming in from the windows to change the dimming levels, etc.
Having your house be aware of who you are, where you are, what you want is really an interesting idea. A conscious house, I think, was one of the phrases yesterday that I wrote down. What does it mean when your house is conscious?
I love the panel discussions. I think that the keynotes are great, but by far the most valuable part of these summits is what's happening right now. It's the informal discussions. It's people coming up after the panel, after the keynote and saying, hey, that thing you said is really interesting. I'd love to talk to you sometime. Let's get a coffee. That's where the magic is happening.
Networking, I guess, is the most important aspect.
What happened was Egyptians were documenting a revolution in real time, and they were doing so using photos and videos on their cell phones and cameras, and using social media such as Facebook and Twitter. The world was witness to the front lines of history in the making. We were being exposed to the realities of on the ground in real time.
If you look at history or contemporary times, it can tell the story in the most compelling way. I mean, in some ways, whether it's that U.S. airplane that landed in the Hudson River with that tweet, that photo that went around the world, or
when they were standing on the wings,
right?
Right?
I mean, that person took that photo on a camera phone that by today's standards is fairly low res.
Right.
But that one picture told that story better than any other news report or anything. And you see it with the Syrian refugee crisis. You see with that child. I mean, these photographs are iconic, and I think we've seen over and over again that this is probably the most powerful format ever. and I think it's going to continue to be that.
Well, as a photographer, as a visual storyteller, I'm here to learn about all the new technologies, all the different ways it's going to enable me to be able to reach an audience with my work.
Nearly everyone we talked to spoke about how the photo brought international attention to the situation the Panamanians had been suffering under Noriega. Some people choked up. Others broke down and cried when we showed them the photograph. For Panamanians, it represents, literally and metaphorically, the violent attack on their efforts toward democracy. And to me, it's incredible that an image can elicit such powerful emotions 27 years after it was taken.
But what our data showed us was that girls were opting out of computer science because they didn't want to be surrounded by dudes in hoodies hacking away at a computer in a basement with Red Bull. And this is what the media tells them is what it means to be a coder. And they're like, not for me, not interested. So how could we change something that at tech conferences we talk about ad nauseum, but for teen girls, they weren't hearing a story that said they could be a part of this community. So I'm going to show you a video.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to get into coding, but my cleavage is just so distracting.
I can't code because my long eyelashes make it hard to see the screen.
I mean, I get lost in them.
Plus, it's hard to keep my eyes open with these auburn strands of mink constantly weighing them down.
When I'm not menstruating, I'm ovulating, so there's no time to code.
Yeah, great conference. For us, it's top of mind. All of our customers and publishers want to know what to do with OTT, how should we monetize video. That's what Uyala does, so for me, it's very pertinent.
I would definitely say something really impressed me this morning is from a quote from one of the panelists, Ramesh. He mentioned this saying, language divides us, but vision unites us. So that immediately clicks with me.
I mean, I actually think there's, I don't think it's necessarily about too much TV. I think we have an endless appetite for premium content. I think it's more about how do we package and deliver it in a way that's convenient for the user.
It's a great opportunity to meet people and get a fresh perspective and often a different perspective in an area that you may know a lot about, but you can really learn more about by viewing it from a different vantage point.
If you are interested in understanding what direction computer vision is going, what new applications will emerge, go here.
The proliferation of short form hasn't done anything to detract from long form. If anything, there's more long form content than there's ever been. There's more hour dramas, there's more sitcoms, and you can't even find a movie that's less than 2 hours.
There's more Netflix, there's more Netflix.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, I think right now all the short form, the stuff that's being made in the same vein as long form, as in that more traditional, I'm making a series, I'm trying to create a franchise. Those, I think you'll start to see some of those make their way through the woodwork a little bit. It's crowded right now. And you'll see short form brands start to rise a little bit more than they currently do.
We did a major project with Citibank. Their innovation lab, expanding information-based workflow into mixed reality.
Yeah, this has been super exciting, especially for me today, like hearing what Refinery 29 is thinking about live video and engagement around video, hearing what content producers that make amazing things for HBO and Turner, and how they're thinking about this new format.
I like it a lot. It's a good intersection of people, who are entrepreneurs, people who do research, and people who are investors, which usually you don't find a lot. But, you see all three groups in one event.
Prepare to be wowed.
Languages divide us. Vision unifies us.